Recently tried creating the world's first human-monkey chimera. I'm going to repeat that so that it registers. American scientists injected human cells into the embryo of a monkey. What is wrong with people?
Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things.
That's right, thank you. So they took sperm and eggs from monkeys, mixed them in a dish to make monkey embryos. And these embryos, as you must know, have never been in a monkey's body. They were created in a lab in a dish. Once those monkey embryos got to just a few days old, at the pre-implantation stage, they transferred about 25 human stem cells, injected them into these embryos, and watched how these stem cells interacted with the monkey cells for about up to 20 days.
And we're looking at an image of that embryo, and the red dots are the human genetic material that is in the embryo. But please continue.
Right, I'm glad you're showing this image because many people, when they first heard of this experiment, had images of Planet of the Apes in their minds, right? They had images of human-monkey hybrids that are somehow visually a mixture of the two species. But really what you see here is the extent to which these embryos were grown. They look like mini disco balls. They look nothing like an animal. And so this is because they used the embryos at a pre-implantation stage before they got complex and formed structures like limbs or organs. Now, why did they do this? Many people are curious about why science would do such a radical thing. To answer that question, we have to get to really what is the ultimate purpose of this kind of experiment.
What is the ultimate purpose?
The ultimate purpose is to learn how to better get to the point where we can grow transplantable human organs in livestock animals like sheep or pigs. There is a drastic shortage of organs for transplantation in the United States and worldwide. In fact, in the United States, about 18 people every day die while waiting for an organ on the organ wait list. So there has to be radical strategies to ease that shortage and to help save American lives. So the strategy of growing human organs in a livestock animal, which is evolutionarily very distant from human, right? Pigs and sheep are very, very unlike human beings. That strategy has not worked because injecting human stem cells into a pig or sheep embryo that's been genetically modified to lack an organ, which then the human stem cells will provide. Those human stem cells have not survived for very long in that foreign host environment. So researchers have to have a better understanding of how to overcome what's called the xenobarrier, the barrier between human species and non-human species. And to better learn that, we have to work with a species that's much closer to human beings, which would be the monkey.
So far, the scientists say they've studied these embryos for up to 19 days. Now, it's unclear whether or not these embryos have died or what's become of them after 19 days. But if these embryos were to live and continue to develop, are they human? Are they monkeys? I mean, do they have human rights? Where do we go with this discovery as a society?
That is precisely the issue. And who is applying the brakes prior to this? Have you ever heard, Manila, ever, of a study that was stopped before it could begin because scientists and professors said, no, we can't go there. They do it. And by the way, remember, Lionel's Law, the law always lags behind technology. And Lionel's other law is, if you're reading it, it's at least 10 years old. So when you're reading this, this is already being done. But the question then becomes, is a zebra a white horse with black stripes, or a black horse with white stripes? Is a monkey embryo a human embryo with monkey traits, or vice versa? If I were to implant this device in your aorta, it's a plastic device. It would never become you. It's an appendage. So we have to ask ourselves, now let me explain something. You mentioned before, and you alluded to this case going on in Minnesota. In the Minnesota statutes regarding murder and the loss of life, they talk about persons and human beings. And so you always hear, you must read statutes specifically. And up till now, we have never had, as far as I know, appellate cases that had to decide, well, what do you mean person? It was just assumed. Well, what do you mean human being? It was assumed. There's a wonderful Latin expression, expressio unius est exclusio alterius. The expression of one is the exclusion of the other, meaning you better really have all of your statutes, all of your language, all of your case law, all of your jurisprudence in line before you do this. Could we, Manila, one day see zoos being theoretically inhumane? Could you have a habeas corpus procedure for an animal who is not an animal? But by reference to this case, some industrial lawyer is going to say, listen, if a monkey is a human being by virtue of this, isn't a monkey a human being for purposes of a zoo? I mean, it just, talk about pluripotent. The issues are pluripotent.
Yes, I do recall a case a few years back of an orangutan, I believe, that was trying to get human rights so she could be free from the zoo. I mean, we haven't followed up on that case, but I think you and I might have talked about that. Now, going back to who approves what, the National Institutes of Health, the NIH, is weighing the idea of lifting a ban on funding for this kind of research, but are awaiting some sort of guidance to be issued, they say due next month, from, get this, the International Society for Stem Cell Research. So 2 points I'd like for you to address here on this issue. First, if this is what they are telling us about, you mentioned this, what haven't they told us about? And second, in this time of COVID, Lionel, where they say this disease comes from viruses mutating from animals to humans, couldn't this monkey-human hybrid then close that gap and pave the way for animal-to-human contraction?